Well, Mark, thank you for coming on the Red Carpet Roundtable podcast.
Right on. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're very welcome. Let's dig in a little bit. What got you into the entertainment industry? And the floor is yours.
Oh my gosh, that goes way back when. I've always been into film, video, sports, you name it. When I went to college in California, I joined a film and television program and graduated with a BA and thought I was going to do just all kinds of directing and producing and camera work, and I kind of did. So it's been cool, and I've done quite a bit of stuff, and very diverse, and very fortunate to be doing what I'm doing and to have done what I've done.
And that's amazing. And of course, you were in Breaking Bad.
I was lucky enough to get cast into Uncle Jack's group. It's kind of hard to spot me, but I'm in the shadows, and we all end up dying anyway. Forget the spoilers. I think we all know how it ends. But yeah, it was 2 episodes that was just mind blowing. I mean, the set was just ginormous, so it was like working on a huge feature film almost.
Wow, that's amazing. I want to just go into how would you describe your journey in the film and television industry?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've been in the industry one way or another for about 30 some odd years. And like I said, I started off as cameraman and producer director of small videos and things like that in California. Went to LA to work on a feature film, and someone said, "Hey, I know someone in Europe who might want to work with you." And so I ended up going to Europe thinking I was going to stay there a month, stayed 3 years, and it turned into an awesome opportunity to travel the world, get a paycheck, and shoot lots of video and television for film.
And was there a particular character that you played that was challenged you in a unique way?
As far as acting goes, I got into acting a little later after I did a lot of world travel shooting for Italian and French television and studied at Stella Adler and then moved to New Mexico later. But I think one of the biggest roles and most challenging roles was the character Sikar from the movie Village. It was a real rinky-dink mom and pop shop production. I think we made the whole movie for like $10,000. And we got it out there. We went to Cannes and sold it in the market there. But the biggest challenge was that character. He was very deep, very dark, and had a lot of issues.
And then of course you can correct me, but you were a security guard, is that correct? You
Oh,
played
I played a bunch of security guards. I think as I get older, I'm getting pigeonholed into the security guard routine. So yeah, I just did a security guard gig or a CO on a movie called Solitary down here in Las Cruces. I worked on Gina Davis show, The Burrows. Got a few days on that as a security guard. And so yeah, I've kind of run the gamut, good guys, bad guys. I prefer to play the bad guys. They're a lot more interesting and a lot more effed up.
and if you mind me asking, a lot of people might be wondering, why do you prefer to play the bad guy?
There's a lot of depth there. I mean, you got to hone in on what makes this person so terrible, and you got to build that character, and you have to really focus on the psyche of that human being and what caused them to turn out the way they did. So, I mean, I played a couple murders on the Discovery ID channel. And those were pretty tough too, because I mean, it's as far as acting goes, you got to be in the state of being instead of acting. Because if you're caught acting on camera, forget it. We don't want that. We want a state of being. So you really got to do your research. You got to do your homework, and then you got to make some interesting choices. And so, to me, that's the fun part of acting is doing all that homework and making some interesting choices that reveals that character.
Yeah, and I want to talk about having a thick skin in the industry. Um, I always
Yeah.
I bring this up with every guest who comes on my show, so you're not the only one being targeted on this, but I'd like to hear your perspective because you've been in it for a long time. So, what does it mean to have a thick skin in this industry?
Well, like my good buddy Mark Ruffalo always says, you're going to do 500, 600 auditions before you get something that really means something that puts you out in front of a lot of people. And it's tough. And, if you're moving around a lot, which I have, sometimes those opportunities don't arrive. But you still keep going, you still keep doing it. Yeah, there's a lot of variables when getting hired for a role. So you can't take anything personally. You just got to endure and keep trying and keep trying and never give up. You know, um, it's right place, right time, who lots of times. Um, there's a lot of great actors out there that just don't get to that upper echelon of stardom or, being in front of the huge audience. And you just don't give up because it's a passion and you love it and you keep trying and you keep enduring.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And was there ever a moment in your career that you wanted to quit? And if there was, if there was, I know you're nodding your head. If there was, what motivated you to keep going, or who motivated you to keep going?
I yeah, there's several times. You think about it and you move to a new location with your family, you're trying to do as much business as you can to pay the bills, and then you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not getting the roles or the big breaks." And what inspired me to keep going is that I have a wealth of knowledge about this business and acting, and some people have asked me, "Will you teach me? Will you guide me?" And then I'm like, "Hey, I can do that." So, in the down times, now's one of them in New Mexico. I'm teaching 8 students acting for the camera and the biz, and it's a joy. It's a pleasure. And when I get to see my students be successful on local television commercials, local movies, or whatever, that's like, wow, that's inspiring to myself. So I keep going. I'll get those
Hmm.
roles here and there, and that's the icing on the cake. Yeah, I may not reach huge stardom, but the trick is to keep working in the business, keep getting a paycheck. So you kind of do what it takes.
Right, that's so true because you don't know what who you're gonna run into or what
Yeah,
in this
exactly.
industry.
Yeah.
And my next casting directors or audition room. How do you get, especially you when you were younger, and now it's probably different, or maybe you still experience it. I'm sorry, I'm just bringing it up, but how do you not get so nervous when you get in front of all those casting directors? I think this message for a lot of young actors out there, and I know you're
Right.
teaching them, but what is your advice, what you tell them? Because, if I was, to be honest, if it was me, I'd be nervous. I'd be like,
Right. Right. And that's what I teach in my classes. I teach you what to focus on. And when you go into a casting session, you don't go in to get the job. You go in to be the character.
right.
That's what the casting director wants to see. And they want to find new talent. They want to find new faces. So if you're in the right mindset and you're focusing on that character, you just do your best and then you walk out, and you'll beat
Hmm.
yourself up on the way home in the car saying, "Why did I do that? Why didn't I do that?" You know, but the best thing is to just show up with your guns loaded and have a good time and let go because you've already won by being called in to the
Hmm.
casting session. And even if it's a self tape or an in person, give yourself a pat on the back because you're there. You're on their radar. And you may not get this one, but they may say, "Hey, and this has happened to me in castings. I've gone in to read for one character. And then as I'm leaving, they say, "You know what, Mark? Take these sides, go out for 10 minutes, and I'm going to call you back in for this other character." So, you never know in this business. That's the thing. So you just got to show up, do your homework, of course, prepare, go in to be the character and have fun. And if you can make them remember you through your performance or your personal interactions with them, then you'll get called back for something else. So, and there's millions of things going on. Production isn't dead. It's just moving all around to different places. So get real good at your home recordings or your self tapes and follow their directions to a T. And then if you get called in for a face to face, go in and have fun.
That is so true.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
nerve-wracking, like you said.
just go in there, have fun. And also you never know who you're going to run into.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, you never know how it's going to turn out. And if you can condition yourself to just go in and have fun during the face-to-face auditions, you'll do much better because then you'll be focused on your homework and the character, and you can just let go.
Right. So
Yeah,
true. I
yep.
gotta ask you, what's the most embarrassing or most funny audition you ever done? I gotta put you on the spotlight somewhere.
Oh yeah, there's those. When I was living in LA and starting out, I got called in to Baywatch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the original Baywatch with Pamela Anderson. So I go in there and I'm all thinking I'm Joe Cool
Wait,
and
you're talking about the originals on
the
TV.
original, the television
Okay,
series,
okay.
you know. And so I go in there and the casting director and it's face to face and I'm getting all ready and she says action and I just kind of stand there and freeze and I blank. And she goes, this isn't the Agent One TV show. Because that's what I was reading for, Agent One. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so sorry. But you chalk one up, it's a learning experience. And I was new then, I hadn't really been on a lot of auditions, so I didn't know what to expect. And believe me, you'll blank sometimes, you know. So you excuse yourself and say, can we take that from the top again? You know. So yeah, everyone has those.
That's so that's so funny. I shouldn't be laughing about that. I apologize, but
No, no, don't apologize. We all experience it
yeah,
and, things happen. So, yeah, I blanked and she called me out and said, hey, this isn't the Agent One television show. Just do the lines. And yeah, you just got to go in and let go.
and go
That's
and then
it.
I go.
Yeah.
Baywatch. I remember that's the original old Baywatch.
Oh, yeah.
It lasted a
With
while.
David Hasselhoff.
It
Yeah.
lasted a while on TV, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So that was like one of the bigger shows when I first got to LA and started studying acting.
And I
So,
think it was like 8 seasons, right? Baywatch was eight
yeah, it was
seasons.
huge and it was so big worldwide, especially in Germany. Germany loved Baywatch.
Hmm.
David Hasselhoff is a huge star over in Germany. So who knows
Yeah,
where he's at,
it was amazing, Baywatch.
right?
And it's as yourself being an actor and everything, but what is the most challenging role that you ever taken, most difficult that maybe personally impacted you?
Like I said, Sakar, I think we went over this. Sakar for Village. It was grueling. We were shooting out in the desert. We only had three locations. It's tents, a barn in Doña Ana County, and out in the middle of the desert in the freezing cold, and then the hot, hot sun. So it was really grueling and exhausting. And like I
And I want
said,
to dig
yeah.
into, I think a lot of people don't understand when you mean freezing, freezing cold in the winter. So how cold did it get in the winter? I mean,
Um,
not mean the winter, I mean in the desert. I'm sorry.
well, the desert gets very cold at night, and especially we started shooting in January. And I think the first scenes, we were in one of these little flimsy tents out in the middle of nowhere, and it was below freezing. And we're wearing like loincloths and pieces of leather. It's this village out in the middle of nowhere. And I mean, you could see our breath. It was that cold. And we're all like freezing. We're lighting a fire outside. So it kind of gets you into character, but it was tough and it was really exhausting. And then since we were shooting on weekends, it was dragged out into summer and then it was like 105 110 and you're just dying. So that's part of acting. You just got to put up with the environment, stay focused on your job because it is your job, and just keep going.
Hmm.
So,
What's the most important lesson the industry has taught you so far?
oh man, that's a big one. Huh. um I think that you can't take anything personally. Okay. Remember, they're doing a job and you're doing a job. You're going in for the job interview, they're giving the job interview. There's a bunch of pieces that need to come together. You might be right for that role, and you may be wrong for that role. So your acting in your audition may just be awesome and incredible, but you know what? I don't fit the family that they're trying to find someone for. Okay. So you can't take it personally. You slough it off and you go on to the next one and you never give up.
Yeah, and that's the truth about
Yeah.
the industry that can teach you. It's that
Right.
don't give up.
Yeah,
It's
there's gonna
like,
there's gonna be a lot of rejection, and that's okay. You just roll with the punches and keep getting up and keep showing up.
mhm. And
And
since we're talking about rejection, how did you handle rejections and setbacks in the industry?
well, at first, you do kind of take it personally, and you're like, "What the hell's wrong with me? I can't land a role or this or that." And like I said, you keep going. You find other things to do. You make independent movies. You start your own television show or whatever to keep you in the business and you go to acting school, you go to different classes. You got to keep your tools sharp and ready to roll because you never know that one break may come and you might just be so perfect for it, and then you get the call from your agent. Hey man, they want you on Breaking Bad. They want you on In Plain Sight. They want you on Longmire or this and that. And you're like, yeah, so it happens. There is no overnight success. I mean, you see these actors like Selma Hayek, Mark Ruffalo, Constance Zimmer. Those were all people that I studied with in the 90s, and yeah, they're huge big stars now, but it took them 20 years to get noticed, 10 years. And it doesn't happen overnight.
And the one thing it's the truth that it doesn't happen overnight because it takes time and hard
Yep.
work and
Yep.
consistency.
Yeah.
You got to be consistency in this.
Yeah, and if you're not working, okay, you find some way to pay your bills, whether working at a restaurant, driving limousines. I did all that while I was in LA. I was lucky enough to have a job with Bob Hope, the late great entertainer, and I was in the video production realm of Bob Hope's world there, which was awesome. But they allowed me to take my classes at night. They allowed me to go on my auditions during the day if I had them. And then a couple of times they even put me in Bob Hope television specials, So yeah, it's just you got to get out there. You got to be seen, be visible, but make sure you study, make sure you learn a technique, make sure you're professional, and make sure you're enjoying the people that
Hmm.
you're going in to see or work with,
And
And
I
like
got me personally, I got to ask, how was it like meeting Bob Hope?
Bob Hope was a trip, man. That guy is so iconic. And he was interesting because he was so uber wealthy, because he was the top of his game in television, radio, vaudeville, all movies. He was the tops at one time. And the first time I had to go over to his house to do an interview with him, I walked in and I'm like, there was a groove worn in the carpet. And I'm like, Bob, you think it's time to get a new carpet? And he's like, nah, maybe later, but he was just that kind of guy. He was so into entertaining people, some of the superfluous or other stuff on the peripherals didn't mean much to him. But like if you met him, he was like zoned into you. If he was entertaining for you, he was so on it. So he was quite the interesting man. And man, I mean, you look up his resume on IMDb or whatever, and he did it all and then some, because he even went over to the war zones and entertained the troops. And a lot of times that put his life in jeopardy. So that's pretty fearless. I don't know if I'd do that, you know. But he did with the USO, and he took the girls over and they did shows and the troops loved it. It's very powerful. So yeah, he was the ultimate entertainer.
Wow. And that's amazing you
Yeah.
got to meet him and work with him.
Oh yeah, it was lucky. I knew a director in LA. She's one of the first big female directors in television and film. And she was good friends with Bob Hope's daughter. So she said, when you come to LA, talk to me. I can help you get a job or put you in some of my movies. And she did. And she introduced me to Linda Hope, who was Bob Hope's daughter, and they hired me to be like an in-house cameraman and a production assistant. So it was really cool. And then I would like get to go over to Phyllis Diller's house and shoot an interview with Phyllis Diller, or I Dream of Jeannie, Barbara Eden, or someone like that, Milton Berle. These were uber superstars, the times of television. And, so I got to hang out with Uncle Milty and smoke a cigar after we were done interviewing him. So it was really cool. And they're all very sweet people, but they were smart and they were true entertainers in the sense of encompassing all of the
Hmm.
entertainment world, So that was an honor.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
cool. You got to sit there and smoke your cigar and have a
Yeah.
conversation.
It was a trip.
You're probably thinking, what am I doing here? Smoking a cigar and
I
I'm
know.
sitting.
Yeah. And you kind of, wow, it's like, whoa, cool. And then, I even met George Burns. A lot of these guys lived to be 100 years old and then they kicked it. And once they made it to 100, then they
Yeah.
left. But yeah, George Byrne was a trip. God, I met so many people, and then working on his shows, you met all the bigger stars when they came in. So, like, here's an example: Raquel Welch. She was on Bob Hope shows quite a bit. So one show on NBC, I was like her escort to make sure she got from the limousine to the green room, checked in on her. You're going on in 5 minutes or whatever. She was such a sweetheart and so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's
Yeah, I was
awesome.
very
So happy.
fortunate.
Yeah, it's awesome that you got to experience all that. What's the best advice you ever heard or received?
Mm, wow, that's a tough one. Because I mean, people don't sit there and turn to you and say, the best thing I can tell you to do. They drop it in a conversation. It's like, um, I mean, when I would go in and sit in on Stella Adler's classes, I didn't get to study with her personally because I was a newbie. But I could audit and go in and watch. And the main thing she says, if you really feel it in your heart and your soul, then it's not a job. Okay. It's a passion. And if you have the guts to chase your passion and never give up on it, that's the best thing you can do in life. Because I guarantee you, I talk to a lot of people all the time, a lot of kids who want to be actors and stars and this and that. I'm like, well, you know what? It's a lot of work. It's a ton of work and it's dedication, and you eat, drink, live it, and breathe it, and you never give up. So I've been fortunate in the sense that I have followed that dream and I'm still in the business one way or another. And it's fulfilling when you get those gigs with some of these people, and it's pretty awesome. So you just keep going no matter what.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's a true testimony, not giving up, keep going, and
Yeah.
you
That's
never
the
know where
best
it's.
advice I can give.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. And you never know the people you run into.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, you never know. And the thing is, you want to be kind of kind and cool with everyone. Of course, we run into the divas in the business when we're working, but you steer away from that and you just be kind and generous to everyone you meet, because you never know, that production assistant or assistant AD on this set may be your bigger boss, may be the director or the producer of the next movie you're on. Or they may remember you and say, you know what, Mark was really good in that role. He'd be perfect in this role. And that's one of the tricks. You want to keep working. So you got to build friendships. You got to build relationships. You got to get in front of as many casting directors as you can. They're kind of the key holders. So if you want to spend a little extra money and go do their education sessions and stuff like that, go do it, you know? But you just gotta show up. Show up
Mhm.
is half of it, and
That's
leaving
true.
your
And,
mark is
and
the
like you
other
said,
half.
connections and make friends in the entertainment
Hmm.
industry.
Yeah, yeah. Be cool with everyone. Have a good time.
Yes, that's one thing.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I love about Instagram because you connect with people on there as well.
True, true. Social media to me has always been a double-edged sword. We get bombarded with this and that, but I blow all that stuff and I focus on, connections. Like how I met you. We met on social media. I get to keep in touch with all my old colleagues from Italy and Europe when I was living over there for 3 years. And to me, that's the fun part of social
Hmm.
media. And you get to network in a way without kind of showing up. But you know what? If you're an actor or studying to be an actor, you got to get out there in person. Go to film festivals, have your cards ready, hand them out. Go support other people in the business. Because if people see you supporting them, most of the time they'll support you. So it's a big circle, you know. And just get out there and do it.
Yeah, that's so true. And thanks to you, you're supporting me, I'm supporting you, and here we
Likewise.
are.
And I keep telling a lot of my students, no one in our area is making that $1 million paycheck yet. So it kind of behooves us all to help each other one way or another.
Hmm.
And yeah, I just appeared in a movie here in Las Cruces, and the director knew me from whenever or wherever. And he said, Mark, I'd really like you to have this role. So it's cool. I didn't even have to audition. I just walked right into it. So that's
Yeah,
what you love.
that's amazing. I gotta ask, what's the most pivotal moment in your career?
Man, there's a couple. You know, I think my biggest eye opening was just studying acting in Hollywood. Because everybody was hungry, everybody was jumping on it. Back in the day, I don't know if you know what the breakdowns are or were. That's what gets sent out to the casting directors. We would get together after acting class and go have coffee, and we would pull our money and we would pay someone under the table to get us the breakdowns.
What?
Shh, shh. Totally illegal back then. Yeah.
Now,
So
now it's
yeah,
probably.
yeah. But I'm talking about other actors who are very famous now. We're doing the same thing that I was doing. We do it all together. So we'd pull our money and get the breakdowns. Oh yeah, I could submit for that. And we go to the coffee shop and make our little envelopes and put our headshots and our resumes in, and then we'd send them out. Sometimes we get called in, sometimes we wouldn't, you
But
know.
now,
But
back then it was you couldn't. That's so yeah. But now,
yeah,
what? Now you've been.
now it's all over the place. They got breakdowns on the internet.
Anybody who's watching this, they're gonna be like, "Ah, Mark just gave it away."
Yeah, we were crazy back in the day, but yeah, that was hugely because it opened my eyes to the business, and it really allowed me to study hard, become a professional. Worked on a few projects as an actor back then. I knew the production side too, so I was also a boom operator in Hollywood for like 6 years. Worked on some big shows, worked on some big movies. I did the first two seasons of Mad TV, you know, and so you do what you got to do to survive, but you never give up the dream of acting or,
Hmm.
or being in front of the camera. And then if you get to that point where you're stuck, get your friends together and make a short movie. We did that. We made some award-winning movies. Then we jumped on the bandwagon and started making some micro-budget feature films, and they're out there. So I
Hmm.
got like 6 movies on Tubi TV you can watch for
That's so
free.
true. It's like
Yeah, and we
get
get a
some
little
friends
paycheck
together,
every now and
use
then.
your iPhones or iPad, and make some
Yep.
films.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the first independent project I did was a short movie called Paco's Two Bean Double Frozen Margarita. And we shot it on 16 millimeter film down in Baja, California. So yeah, that was before any of these cameras came out, any of the digital recordings came out, and we shot it on film. So it's like no screwing around here, you guys. We got to be good because film is expensive. And the movie turned out great. It's on my YouTube channel. It's a lot of fun. We won several awards getting it into film festivals. But find your tribe and go make some independent movies if you're not getting business,
Hmm.
as an actor. Make your own opportunities. get that demo reel and that resume up to speed. Try and get an agent if you can, and just keep showing your face out there. You know?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
true.
Oh yeah. And now with YouTube, and influencers, it's crazy. You never know who's going to strike.
Yeah.
That
You
kid
never know the
who
people who
made,
you run into.
yeah. I mean, gosh, I wish I was friends with that guy who made Obsession. It's it's insane what he's going to be doing now.
Yeah,
But
it's
he
insane.
ended up on everyone's radar,
I
so
gotta ask, how much has the entertainment industry has changed since you started?
oh, hugely. Just gigantic because with the social media outlets and the digital cameras, like you said, pull up your phone, you can make a movie with this now. And the quality is pretty darn good if you know how to do it right. So huge. But it's increased the competition 100-fold. Back in our day, like I said, if we were shooting on film, not too many young independent filmmakers could afford shooting on film, and the video cameras back then were just garbage. So it has changed immensely. The competition is fierce. So that's one reason for you to just keep trying, just keep trying, just keep trying, and keep making and making and shooting, and never give up the ship. Hopefully, you have some kind of day job or nighttime job that allows you to go after these dreams and passions, but get a YouTube channel and just keep putting stuff out there. Go to film
Hmm.
festivals, be seen, be heard. So yeah, it's intense, and unfortunately now that well, I think Hollywood has always been the money factory, and it's even more so now. Um, with all these huge streaming services and everything. So it's tough, but sometimes someone breaks through with an independent film that has nothing to do with studio, nothing to do with Hollywood, and it puts them on the map. So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
keep the dreams alive and keep doing it.
That's so true. What if you could give an advice for an aspiring actor? What advice would that be?
My biggest advice is learn a proper acting technique for the camera. Okay. Um, there's different acting techniques. I was raised on Stella Adler and Stanislavski's method, which is where I don't use Mark personal life to fuel my characters. I build those characters. I stay true to those characters that are in the movie script because most likely that character in the movie script wasn't written for Mark or about Mark. So I'm the vehicle to tell the story on camera, but you got to be true to that character in the story.
Hmm.
So learn a proper technique, go to acting classes. Always make sure you look up the people you're going to be studying with, make sure they're legit, make sure they have a great resume and they know what they're talking about because there's a lot of scams out there that will say, "Yeah, you're going to be great. Take our classes, get our headshots. We're only going to charge you $2,000." Oh, but wait, then you'll go to the next level and we'll take more money from you, and they leave you with nothing. So a lot of those scams are number games out there,
Hmm.
and you should never have to give anybody any kind of money up front to represent you. Agents get a 10% cut when you book a job and get that paycheck. That's it. You never have to give anybody money up front.
That
So be
that's a
very careful.
that's a very good advice to
Yeah.
give
Well,
any.
I mean, you've heard it. Hey, come on down to the Sofitel Hotel this weekend. There's going to be Disney casting directors and this and that. And no, they're not Disney casting directors. They may have worked at Disney 20 years ago, but they're not Disney casting. You know how hard it is to get in front of a Disney casting director? You better have a darn good agent. Okay. So they're either has-beens or they're nobodies in the real business. But they're going to tell you what you want to hear. You can be a star. You have special
Mm.
qualities. take our classes, get our headshots, listen to us, but you're going to end up giving us $20,000 in the end, you know? So it's, you got to think. You got to think. And I hate these people because they prey on people's dreams. And there's a lot of dreamers out there that want to be in the business and want to be front and center, but it takes dedication, education,
And
hard
time.
work. Yeah, and time.
Yeah,
Exactly. You're
that's for
right.
sure. Being in this industry, and it's
It's
fun.
crazy.
It's
Yeah, it's
fun, but
fun, but it's crazy.
that's what I was about to say. It's fun, but it's crazy. It's it's so interesting the stories I've heard. People who've been in the entertainment industry. Maybe it's not as long as you, or I'm being honest, who's been in it for a while, who's been in as long as you have, and everybody has different what it means to having a thick skin in the
Right,
entertainment industry, the auditions, and how not to be nervous because
right.
you're not the one. I've actually, don't quote me, but I've actually interviewed an actor who went to a casting and actually forgot a line. They felt so embarrassed. They're kind of like, wait, what was the line again?
I've
What was
done
the line
that.
again? It's
Yeah, of
like,
course. Yeah, I mean, we're all human beings, and the casting directors know that. But, if they see an error, if they see your confidence and you're professional and you're fun and you're interesting, sometimes, yeah, you can screw up the lines, but you know
yeah.
what? Try to stay in character,
Hmm.
go for it, and
And I
have a
know
good
you
time.
have sorry, I know you have some actors who go out there and they're on set and they're like, action, and the camera's rolling and the camera goes on to you and you're like, you say a little bit of your line and then your mind goes blank and everybody's like, and they're like, cut, and they're like, did you forget? And they're like, oh, sorry, I was supposed to say this part too. I was kind of like, I'm
Well,
sorry.
and it was funny because I taught one of my classes last night, and we were going over stuff like this, and it's part of the responsibilities of being professional on set. If you do drop a line, stay in character and just say line, and the script supervisor will feed you the line, and then you take a beat and then you give the line. Because remember, you got to, as an actor on camera, they've got a lot of things going for you. You've got
Hmm.
a writer, you've got a director, you've got a producer, you got makeup people, you got a script supervisor. They're all in your corner, and then you've got the editor. They can edit around stuff. So if you stay in character and you don't look off camera or whatever, you stay focused on who you're focused on
Yeah.
and you just call
Just
for
keep walking
line.
down the street or doing
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. It's
And
the hyper focus.
I think it's a process of learning because I do see what
Yeah,
you're saying because it's like as a beginner actor or while you're acting, it's hard to not to look, okay, what was my line? What was this? But if you
right.
just say line and just keep walking or keep doing your action or
Hmm.
keep doing something, they'll give
Right.
it to you and then they can help you, just
It's
stay in your
about,
character.
yeah, you have to learn those tricks of the trade too, and they come with time. And your confidence builds with time, and that's what's kind of cool about the indie world, independent filmmaking, is you can make mistakes. There isn't millions of dollars at stake here, but I've heard some horror stories about actors who showed up on big sets and they couldn't do it. They couldn't pull it off, and the production team's like pulling their hair out. It's like this idiot can't remember any of his lines. So it happens. But don't be one of those kind of actors, there's that homework that always has to be done, and no one's going to tell you to go home and
And
do
I
it.
think the best way also is practice with friends. Like you
Sure.
can do it at home and say, have your
Yeah.
friends stand on the sideline and act like you're doing something in the backyard, in the front yard, or in the kitchen
Right.
and being a character. And you're like, you forgot, and you can say line, but keep going. And then you're like, okay. Me, I mean, being honest, that's one way to, practice
Sure.
not getting out of character.
That's what my kids are for. So I'm like, hey, Marina, come here. I got to do a self tape. And she'll come right into the studio with me and, she'll get the sides and we'll read them over and we'll go over stuff and then we'll record it. And she's a perfect reader, And so, yeah, it's great if you can do that. And then I'll be rehearsing my lines in the shower when I'm washing dishes. And my family thinks I'm nuts because I'm talking to myself. I'm like, no, I'm running my lines. So yeah,
To be honest, I probably would be saying the same thing. It's like, wait, is Mark okay? Is he
you're right.
okay?
I know. They're like, what did you say?
They were like, we
So,
weren't talking about that, Mark. Oh, sorry. Okay.
exactly.
Like,
So yeah, like you said, whatever it takes, do it. So if you have friends to
mhm.
practice with, go for it. If not, there's ways to study your lines,
Yeah.
bunch of
And
different.
that's so true. And I know you mentioned because you already mentioned, you're a father, and I just got to bring this up if you mind. A lot of family members are having I don't want to say issues, but a lot of kids who want to get in the entertainment industry. A lot of parents. And I like to bring this up who are family members who are father, like they have mentioned it.
Right.
And a lot of kids want to get into the entertainment industry. And I think a lot of them don't realize, and you can correct me, and I could be wrong, so please correct me, but a lot of them don't realize how tough this industry can be for kids. Because as kids, when they're being told no, they don't, it's not clicking to them that it's not about them. It's not, the role wasn't for them. So
Right.
for your, excuse me, for you as a father, what is your advice for a lot of those parents who may be listening to this or maybe wondering what we can do to, you know, get my child into the entertainment industry because this is a thick skin in entertainment industry. And real quick, I want
Right.
to say a lot of the kids don't understand what it means to have a thick skin.
Right. The kids can get beat up, because like you said, it can be hard on them when, oh, you didn't get the job. No, you weren't chosen, you know. But you got to have a parent that really understands that, if you want to help your kids be good, get them into school theater. Get them into as much theater as possible. Okay. That way they really learn the craft. They know how to do lines. They understand the process. And then as a parent, you got to understand this is a business. And I tell my students this, okay? Acting is your job. It is a business. Sometimes you'll be the right fit, sometimes you won't. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It's a business, okay?
Hmm.
So you got to go from one job to the next job to the next job to the next job. And I tell parents, just as long as you're not trying to buy your kid way into the business, I think you'll be okay. Okay. Because what happens with like these fly by night companies that, like I said before, they tell you what you want to hear, and they're going to pump the kid up. They're going to say the kid is great and the kid is blah, this and that. And then when they get out in the real world, it's rejection, 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 rejection. And then they say, oh my God, I can't handle this. It can be tough on kids, but if both understand that it's a job, but it's a job that can be very fun and fulfilling, and it's going to be a job that has rejections, I think they'll be okay. When I teach my students, I try not to go below age of 17, just because I want mature, more well-rounded people. Not
Hmm.
saying that 17-year-olds or 18-year-olds usually are, but they're getting there. But yeah, I right off from the bat, I say, you guys got to remember this is a business. There's lots of money floating around in
Hmm.
this
And
business.
this is And the one thing I want to say real quick, didn't mean to cut you off, is that being in this entertainment industry, what I've learned from other fellow actors, including you, is the auditions and you have that up moment. You're up in the high moment, and then it can affect adults too and kids. Then you have this high moment. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting all these roles, and then
Oh
you go
yeah.
back down like this,
And
and
then
then it's
there's
a
nothing.
flat. It's like, oh my goodness. I just
Yeah,
got a big role. I'm like, why am I not getting anything? What's going on? And I think that's the struggle for any actors out there. And then and I could be wrong again, but it impacts the kids more.
sure.
And
Sure, because
so
they're not
it's
developed yet.
it's a good advice you gave, is just acting school and surround yourself people that will give you positivity.
Right. but help move you forward, whether you're making your own movies or what, I mean, if you're a kid and you have lots of friends, get a camera or your phone and make some movies. You're learning it as you're going. And there's always something to learn in this business, and especially in acting. No one's the ultimate, no one's perfect, so any kind of failure, I take it as a learning experience. You know, what did I learn from that? Oh, okay, this, that. Okay, cool. I won't make that mistake again and move on. But you got to warn these kids that, there's going to be, yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be heartbreak. There's going to be sadness. There's going to be rejection. This just comes with the business. Okay. And you got to realize that the competition is really fierce, really stiff. There's so many people out there that want to be in this business. Um, but one day your number may come up and you may get that co-starring role or that lead role or that guest starring role in a TV series or a movie. So until that time happens, you better be preparing yourself. Prepare yourself, prepare yourself, study, read, watch people, watch great movies, absorb and see what other actors are doing, you know, because it's, like I said, it's a multi-million dollar business.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Mark, I appreciate you following me on Instagram.
Likewise.
I really enjoyed speaking with you, enjoyed having the conversation, and I'm supporting you. Thank you for supporting me. I
Thank you.
I
Thank
am
you.
so honored to have you on, and I love your energy, and I learned so much, and many more I'm going to learn from you. So I definitely cannot wait to have you back on again soon.
Awesome. Maybe one day we'll do it in the same studio. You never know.
Yes, yes, but I mean, you're in New Mexico, I'm in Oklahoma, but one thing I want to say is that connection with Instagram.
Right.
That to me is how we can connect, how we can
Sure.
make friends, how we may support each other. And
Hmm.
also, I would say real quick, I've noticed is that you find roles to audition for
Hmm.
sometimes through
Yeah.
Instagram,
Yeah.
and you have fellow actors that you connect with and supporting each other. For example, you may say something, hey, there's a film that's being filmed in New Mexico. I know the director. He or
Right.
she's looking for someone. You're like, what? And then somebody who may be following you be like, oh, let me give it a shot. Let me try. And you make friends and connections, and everybody's like, oh, wow, thanks to Mark, or
Right.
thanks to this person, thanks to this person.
Exactly.
You make
Yeah, so if you can use social media to be on other people's radars that are making movies, that are directing films. I've been talking to a guy who's shooting a movie on the Warner Brothers movie lot right now, and I'm like, I'd love to audition for you sometime. He's like, I'm on his radar. He knows I exist. So it's cool. It's connectivity, which is great, which can be a good thing. And yeah, I get a lot of my students through social media, and I'm out there showing my movies and this and that, and it's fun. Just keep everything in perspective,
hmm
and be nice to people and treat them
Amen.
with
Be nice to
respect.
people for
Yeah,
sure. Because you never know
yeah.
who you're going to run into.
Maybe one day I'll be in OKC and we'll get to work on a project together.
Hey,
You
you
never know.
you never
So
know. Maybe one day I'll meet you, or all this stuff. So, Mark, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. And where can people find you on social media?
I'm on Facebook for sure. I have two accounts. I have my personal account, which is open to anybody. I do post a lot of stuff there as far as what I'm doing. And then I have a professional actors account, which is posted there, and you can follow me. So it's Mark Vasconcelos. IMDb.com. I'm on, what else? Instagram, of course. And I'm out there trying to have a good time and meet as many
hmm
people as I can and make some fun movies in the process, and just keep going no matter
Same
what.
here.
Just keep,
That's what I'm
yeah,
doing, making new friends and making connections.
exactly. You're doing something really crucial too, and you're moving forward in the industry, and you're doing podcasting, and that's great, and everybody gets to interact with you. And Hey, maybe you can be in one of my movies sometime. You
Hey, you
never
never know.
know.
One day,
That's
maybe I
it. You
might.
never know.
Yeah, you never know. Well, Mark, let's keep staying connected, and I can't wait to have you back on. Thank you again.
For sure. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I look forward to talking again soon.
Again,
But you have a good one. Bye bye.
take care.